1.6, ne? So now we go to question 1.6. So I hope ukuthi before we go to the next question, you go before bukela le part lena ngicela uhambe uyobukela the part 1, right? That was part 1. I couldn't finish up because it was very long. So okay. Now bathi determine the standard deviation of the data. And Motia gets how many marks? 2 marks. So now we can find our standard deviation using our calculator. Ne? So now laphayana we got our mean as ubani. We got our mean as 98,59, right? 59 kilograms. Now, in order to determine your standard deviation, you need to press shift 1, press VAR number 4, and ngiyakhumbula ngithe number 3 represents what? Your standard deviation. So you're going to click number 3, then press the equal sign. So when you round off to 2 decimal place, it is 25,884. Right. So now our standard deviation, our standard deviation will be equals to bani 25, will be equals to 25, 84. Okay, it will become 25,84 kilograms. Okay, 25,84 kilograms. Now, uthola 2 marks yakho ke kanjalo. Now, 1.7. Now, ku-1.7 bathi the person weighing 127 kilograms states that she weighs more than 1 standard deviation. Okay, now but in the person weighing 127 kilograms states that she weighs more than 1 standard deviation above the mean. So now it leads back to our notes, right? It leads us back to the outlier. Right. So now I want you to take note ukuthi each and every time mabaqeda ukubuza nge-standard deviation, always the case kulandela i-question ene-outlier. That way we have to use an outlier in order to solve your question. So now we see outlier, it is what? It is the value, ne? We say that an outlier, it is the value, right? Ngizozama ukuyibhala yonke la. So now it is the value that is larger, ne? It is the value that is larger or smaller, right, than the rest of the number set. It is the value that is larger. It is the value that is larger. Sibonela kwenzakalani. Okay, bengithi ngiyabhala mara I think I'm gonna do this. It is the value that is larger or smaller. If you have those notes, you can refer back to them. So now it is the value that is larger or smaller than the rest of the data set. Right. Than the rest of the data set. Okay. Than the rest of the data set or the number values. Still fine. Data set. Okay. Now. Alright. So now, lo muntu lo uthi he's weighing 127 and states that she weighs more than 1 standard deviation above the mean. Now the first thing would see when you calculate your outlier, it has a formula, ne? So if you saw in the previous okay, now in order to find our outlier, it is always your mean, ne? Which is like an x and an underscore, ne? Minus your what? Minus your standard deviation. Ne? There's different method, but I prefer to use this one. So now, and then it's going to be x, right? Your mean, and then it's going to be plus your standard deviation. Okay, then it's going to be plus your standard deviation. Now, if you remember kahle, what did we get our mean? We got our mean as, maybe just come here to rectify. We got our mean as 98,59. Shoguthi mai. So outlier, we're looking with, we need two numbers, ne? But now Lanabati, the person weighing 27, says that she weighs more than one standard deviation above the mean. So Mabati above the mean, which means now we're going to focus on this number set, right? On this number la, but TC ends and then we understand. So there's 98,59. Ne? Then it's going to be minus, what was our standard deviation? 25,84. So it's going to be 25,84. Ne? Okay. And then in that side, it was ubani. It was going to be 98,59. 98,59. Now instead of a minus, so far o plus. So it's going to be 25,84. 25,884. Okay. It's going to be 25,84. Okay. So now, masifaka ku calculator ne, we need to put this in straight into the calculator. So sizofaka ku calculator. So now mawuceda ukwenza kanje ne, make sure ukuthi your calculator uyayiclearisha, right? Because once iveza le zero layer, sometimes angakunikeza answer wrong. So what you're going to do uzothi shift upress number 9, uthi 3, uthi equal sign, then uthi AC, right? Now you make sure ukuthi iveza ED and math, right? So sizocala ke manje sithi 98,59 minus 25,84, right? Sithola bani? Sithola u-72,72, so it's going to be 72,75, right? So lana ngithola 72,75. Okay, and then lana ke uzofaka plus ngale, right? Sofaka plus. So when you put a plus sign, sithola bani? Sithola 120, 124. Okay, 124,43. It's going to be 124,43. Okay, so now, since now we have these values, ne? Let us go back to the question now. The person weighing 127 kilograms states that she weighs more than one standard deviation above the mean. So now, what you're going to do ukuthi mabathe above the mean, and khumbula ngithe we're going to focus on what? We're going to focus on this number, right? So now, in other words, we're going to focus on this number. So now, we outlier, right? Usually, if let's say the question lana bathe below the mean, we were going to look at the numbers that were below 72,75. Yeah? I'm gonna try to be slow to understand. Mara now, since they say above the mean, which means now we're gonna focus on the numbers that are above 124,43. Ne? So now let us look at the numbers. Kule data set, let us look at the numbers that are above 124,43. So we see ukuthi we have 27, 127, 128, 134, 135 and 137, 144 and 156, right? Those are the numbers that are above ubani 124,43, right? So now bathini, this person is weighing 127 and the lapha sithe 27 is what? It is greater than 124,43. Now states that she weighs more than one standard deviation above the mean, right? Do you agree with this person? And motivate your answer with the what? With the calculation. So now in this case, we see that 127 in this data set is greater, right? Ngamanye amagama, this person is weighing more than one standard deviation. So now, mabakhuluma nge-one standard deviation, sure ukuthi lana before the sign of the SI unit of standard deviation, kuno 1, right? So now, bathi this person kahle kahle uweya more than this, right? This person is weighing more than this. Kusho ukuthi sizobheka le number elapho. But now sometimes bangathi this person weighing 127 kilograms states that she weighs more than 2 standard deviation. So if they said 2 standard deviation, instead of putting a 1, bozofaka u2. Then nalana bozofaka obani, bozofaka u2. So which means now 25,84 you are going to multiply it ngobani ngo2. If they say that she weighs more than 2 standard deviation, right, above the mean. Or sometimes bangati, this person weighing 127 kilograms states that she weighs more than 1 standard deviation below the mean. So if they said below the mean, we were going to focus kubani go 72,75. We were going to look at the numbers that are lesser than 72,75 in our what? In our data set, right? I hope you understand. So in this case, we can say that she does weigh more than 1 standard deviation. So do you agree? So conclude again when OT. You're gonna conclude and say yes, I agree. No? You're gonna say yes, I agree. Right. So you're gonna say yes, I agree. And then now you need to prove with your calculation with your y uvuma. So uzoma uthi y uvuma, you're gonna use this equation, ye outlier. I hope you guys really understand. So you're gonna use this equation outlier. So instead of so uzobheka, if they say more than 1 standard deviation, just know there's an invisible one. If they say more than 2 standard deviation, uzofaka u2 before the sign yani ye standard deviation. Ne? Okay. Ngifuna ukuthi ngicime la. Right. So you're gonna go and conclude and yes, I agree, and then you're gonna prove with your calculation, ne? And then now mawuceda uzoconclude uthini uthi because, right, masocedile ukwenza ngecalculation uzothi because ini because 127 is greater than 124, comma 443. Right. So now into ezokwenzakala ukuthi you're gonna get your mark for uzothola i1 mark for ini, you're gonna get your 1 mark for finding your mean. For finding your mean, you're going to get 1 mark for finding your mean, and you're going to get 1 mark for finding 124,43. It's because batheni 1 standard deviation above the mean, which means we were focusing gupi on this number. So that's why kahle kahle uzothola i1 mark for this number, not this number, because this number was not our main focus. And then you're going to get 1 mark for your what? For your conclusion. I hope you really found this very useful. And if you have a question or you didn't understand something, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you.